Hi guys, JP from FSiPanel. On this video, we are going to try a very interesting approach in the capital of Switzerland. This is Bern, very small airport, and here we are going to fly a circling approach on runway 32. So runway is short, airfield is very nice, and you can find a very decent scenery for $9. I think this is from Orbix, and this is the one I'm using today. So we are finalizing the boarding here. I will show you how you can basically start from scratch here on the ground and be airborne within a few seconds and do the circling approach. So what we want to see today is how to use secondary flight plan and how to do the circling using the published flight track for runway 32. All right, so let's jump in the cockpit and see how to prepare that. All right, here we are in the cockpit of our A320, and I haven't set anything. As you can see, we have a blank FCU, nothing in the MCDU, and we are going to use FSiPanel and start our circling in a few seconds. So what we need to do here is load the aircraft first of all. So here, let me check what kind of weight we have. So we are going to take around 100 passengers. I have checked before that we can land. Make sure that you don't take too many passengers. As I told you, the runway is not that long, so you want to make sure that you are able to land in Bern. So here with that weight, it worked. You can check your performance, that works. So we have right now 56 tons, and I will show you that. So apply the load instant, and our aircraft is loaded. You can see now that we have 56 tons gross weight with 27.9 of CG. So if we check the performance for the arrival, we are flying out in Bern, so this is Lima Sierra Zulu Bravo, and we are going to land on runway 32. The weather is nice, we can apply the METAR. So wind is light and variable, we can see 3 knots, 24 degrees, 1014. And we said 56 tons for the weight. And if I go with auto brake medium, you can see that we are just in limits. We don't have the factor, but if I go with max, then we'll be well in tolerance. So we are going to set auto brake manual, and I will apply manual braking, and we know that we are good to go. All right, so the aircraft is here, and we need now to do something very, very common to FSiPanel. Make sure your engines are running and your ILS are aligned. So here the best way to start your flight is basically to use the panel state from Fenix. So you can just go to panel state here and go for ready and activate. So that's the only thing you need to do. Now the engines are starting. We don't have the correct QNH, nothing is set, but we just want to make sure that our engines are running and that our ILS are aligned. That's about it. Now if we look from outside, we can see that we still have some doors open. So I'll just make sure that everything is ready for my departure here. And once this is done, we have engines running, doors closed, you are ready to do your approach using FSiPanel. So for this approach, we are going to position ourselves at Birki, and we want to do initially the ILS. Well, the localizer, because as you can see, we are not descending. 4,000 feet is the initial circling altitude. So we'll maintain 4,000 feet. We will arm localizer, and we will fly the circling. So we'll first position the aircraft, and then we brief it using secondary flight plan. All right, so let me start FSiPanel and insert the position. Okay, here we are on FSiPanel. As always, make sure you have the Fenix A320. Then we are in Bern Belp. This is the airport, and we want to land on runway 32. So that's important for your landing report. And then for the fix, we will select Birki. So the best way to do that, if you want an easy way, is just to select a star. Most of the star will, as you can see, end up in Birki, which is the initial approach fix for the ILS. So basically, you can pick up any star you like and just select Birki. So now this is the waypoint. You can see that the inbound heading is already correct, 138. We already have 4,000 feet. And these 5 nautical miles means we are going to be 5 nautical miles away on the track 138 inbound to Birki. So that's not too bad. I will increase it to 8 miles So we have a little bit more time. Anyway, we will be in position freeze, so that's not a big deal. And then you just click validate, and that's it. You can see the position summary, Birki waypoint at 4,000 feet, and we are basically ready. So I'm going to click move aircraft. The aircraft will go in the air, and then we'll program everything together. Okay, my controls. So we should see 4,000 feet. That's correct. The flaps should be going up. That's fine. We are no flaps, and FSiPanel tell you to set your thrust lever to climb detent to start the approach. So let's do that here. Climb detent. All right, here we go in the air. Do not touch anything as always with FSiPanel. FSiPanel is raising the landing gear now and setting your FCU as needed for this position. So we are going down to 4,000 feet. We would be in position freeze, so there is no need to rush. We will have time to prepare everything. We have cabin press elevation because the aircraft doesn't know where we are landing at. So now this is set by FSiPanel. The only thing here missing is the QNH, which will be 1014. This is a new thing that I have to change. And once we are stable at 4,000 feet, we will get the control and we will prepare everything as briefed before on the ground. So let's wait for 4,000 feet steady. We should have all star, and once the aircraft is stable, then FSiPanel will give us the control. So let's see that happening now. 4,000 feet and aircraft ready. Hold your brake for 3 seconds to take control. So right now we are in a position freeze. So even if the aircraft is moving forward, FSiPanel will bring it back to the original position. So you don't have any stress here. You can program everything for your circling approach in Bern. So this is a good idea to do in case you don't know whether you're going to fly straight in ILS 14, or if for some reason the wind might pick up, you need to do the circling. So if you are at that position and the wind is tailwind 15 knots, then it's too late to start thinking about how to prepare that approach. So for that reason, we are going to use the secondary flight plan today. All right, so let's start with the auto brake. We said we are going to do manual braking, so that's off. And now we are going to insert our approach. So if we go to flight plan, destination, arrival, the first thing we want to make sure is we fly the ILS 14, no stars. So this is what we want, insert. So now we have the ILS in front of us. What we don't want the holding, so I'm just going to remove the holding. Insert. So now we are Birki, and we are going to Fox India 14, and then we have the airport right there. So that's good. Next thing we want to make sure is that we have the correct performance. So let's go to the approach page here and look at the weather that we have. So for that we can use here our data link. So let's request the weather for Bern. Weather request. We need the weather for Lima Sierra Zulu Bravo. METAR is good enough. Send. And let's see if we have weather data coming in. Yes, and we have the weather. So the wind is variable 2 knots. So we are going to put the worst case scenario. So let's put 138/2, which is tailwind 2 knots for runway 32. Then the temperature, we have 25 degrees. And the QNH is 1014. 1014. We are going flaps full. Minimum for the circling, as you can see, is 4,000. We are maintaining 4,000. Therefore, I will not set any minimum. Otherwise, it will call minimum all the time during the circling, which is not very nice. So I leave it blank as we are already visual. Right, so right now the aircraft is set for the ILS approach in Bern, but we said we want to do a circling. So we are going to prepare the secondary flight plan for that. So how to use the secondary flight plan? If you click on secondary flight plan here, you have several options. You can init the flight plan and start from scratch, or you can just go in the secondary flight plan if you already have something, or you can copy the active. So right now, as we are flying to Bern, the same destination, that's good to copy the active. And as you can see, we have the same approach there. And now we can start changing things. So we are going to change the arrival there, and I'm going to put here runway 32. That's where we want to go. Now that we have the runway 32, automatically you have a Charlie Fox and the runway 32, 5 miles in between, as you can see here. And our circling is less than 5 miles, so we are going to change everything together. So if we look on the chart now, we can see that Zulu Bravo 700 is the first waypoint where we break to the left. So we are going to insert that waypoint, Zulu Bravo 700, and you put it always over Charlie Fox, so it goes before. What did I do wrong here? Let's try again. The waypoint is called Zulu Bravo 700. Zulu Bravo 700. Here it is. It was a mistake. I don't know what I type in. And if we look here on the map display, we can see Zulu Bravo 700, which is at 4.7 miles on final. Then this is where we are going to break off to the left. The next waypoint you can see on the chart is Zulu Bravo 301. So I'm going to type in Zulu Bravo 301, and again I put it over Charlie Foxtrot so that we have it in sequence. So this is where we break to the left. After that we are going on downwind and we are going to fly Zulu Bravo 302. So Zulu Bravo 302 is the next one. If there is a discontinuity, you can clear it now or at the end once everything is done. Here, just clear it. And now we have 700, 301, 302. Then we are going to the end of downwind. This is the waypoint Zulu Bravo 303. So Zulu Bravo 303. Here we go. And then we should start our right turn and fly to the runway. We don't want to fly 5 miles final because 5 miles final is way too far. So what we want to do is create a waypoint which is around 1.5 miles as depicted on the chart. So for that we need to use the airport ICAO. Then I will put the runway 32, so that means threshold runway 32 / Now we want a radial from that position, so the radial is the opposite of the inbound track. We are flying 318, so we want the radial 138 and we want 1.5 miles, and I will pass that over there. And now we have a pilot waypoint. I can clear the discontinuity, and as the Charlie Foxtrot is 5 miles out and this one is 1.5 miles out from my threshold, I don't need that waypoint, so I'm going to clear it and finally clear the discontinuity. So right now we have our circling inserted into the box and we will check how she flies it. You could as well insert here the altitude restriction. For example, in the chart it says that you can leave 4,000 feet earliest at Zulu Bravo 302. So if we look Zulu Bravo 302, that's the one. So at this waypoint we could leave earliest 4,000 feet. So we could go right there and put the altitude constraint plus 4,000. Or as we are at 4,000, let's put 4,000, doesn't matter, as we are already maintaining 4,000 feet. So now we have the constraint. As you can see, the speed as well is very high here, so we could change the speed as well and put a speed restriction of 150 knots and return. Great. For example, now we've got our secondary flight plan done. If I go back to the correct flight plan, now we have the ILS, everything is good. We are flying 4,000 feet and we are going to arm not the approach because we don't want the aircraft to follow the glide slope. We are going to arm localizer so that we are tracking inbound without descending, as the circling altitude is 4,000 feet. So now that everything is set, we can go ahead and take control of the aircraft. So in order to do that, what I will do first is direct to Birki here, insert, and now if I go ILS, I should have my correct localizer indication. I will start to reduce the speed as we need to do the circling. So before taking control, I'm doing everything before taking the control. I will even activate the approach. and we can even go manage for now. All right, we are ready to take control. So I'm holding the brake now for 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. And we are flying. So we arm localizer as briefed. We should get localizer captured. And we have the next waypoint where we break off to the left at Zulu Bravo 700. This is 4.7 miles on the ILS. So we could as well do that here, just as a reference. We can put a fixed information and put Zulu Bravo 700. That's the waypoint we want. And now we can see it right there, so we know that we need to activate the secondary flight plan before Zulu Bravo 700. So let's control the speed here. We have green dot. We are at 14 miles and we should be at 150 knots at Zulu Bravo 700. So why am I demonstrating now this approach today? Because it's a nice airfield, first of all, and I found Orbix for $9. They have this beautiful scenery. You can find as well a freeware on flightsim.io, and that makes a big change, especially for the ground in Bern, as it's a very small airport. And we are doing that because we are picking up the Swiss national team. So this is the next training scenario that is available for FSiPanel Advanced Editions. You are flying from Zurich to Bern to pick up the national team, and you will fly the circling runway 32. Bern is the capital of Switzerland and very short runway, so make sure you are on the spot when you fly this. Okay, so here we go. We'll start reducing now flaps 1. We want to be 150 knots by here, so let's go flaps 1. Speed check flaps 2. Now I'll go manage speed for now, and I will reduce my speed to, let's say, 150 for now. And we will reduce even further if needed. I'm above F-bug, so that's good. Birki, 4,000 feet. And we have around 5 miles before the break off. So let's insert, now let's take the secondary flight plan. So we will go on heading mode. Then secondary flight plan, activate secondary flight plan, and we want to go direct, Zulu Bravo 700, insert. When you do that, you expect to see nav, and everything looks good. So we have nav, Zulu Bravo 700 is right there, the speed is under control, and we are going to break off to the left to Zulu Bravo 301. These flight tracks, the waypoints are here as a reference, but they should not be the only source of your navigation. Basically, this is why we have the three depiction, the tree graph 1, 2, and 3, where you can see where you're supposed to fly. So we will check that as well once we are in the circling. So we are visual, everything looks good. We can fly that circling. Okay, braking to the left. Very nice. She's doing it nicely for now. If we look outside, we can see the area in Bern, and we are turning to the left. The stadium should be just below our right wing, and we should turn downwind, as you see on the chart, just above the cliff here. So that's as well something to look at. Another thing which they said is that you should always have the railroad. You should always be east of the railroad. So the railroad, you can see it right there from the passenger window. We will see it appearing now. Let's see. Here is the railroad. Where is it? We should see it soon. Here it is. So this is the railroad, and you want to make sure that this stays always to your right. So here we go. We are joining now the downwind. Speed is under control, and we can start descent at Zulu Bravo 302. Knowing that this is 1.5 miles, so let's say 1.5 miles, you should be at around 3,000 feet, because the airfield elevation here is 1,675 feet. So you have to keep in mind that it's not zero. So here we are 4,000 feet, but in fact you're only 2,000 feet above the terrain. So be careful with that. Now we are coming to Zulu Bravo 302. So I will set here 2,200, which is 500 feet AGL above the airfield. So MSL, sorry, that's 2,200, which represents 500 feet AGL. So that's a good way to have a minimum for you, to remind you that you should be fully stabilized. Let's start descent and gear down. Arm speed brake. Flaps 3. Now we'll select heading to complete the circling. Put the bird. Manage speed. Flaps full. Good. So we are going to the next waypoint where we need to turn. So I'll take autopilot off now. Flight directors off. And we pass the waypoint. 0. Nice start. My right turn. 25 degrees bank or 30 degrees bank until you're 100% sure you're not going past the center line. So let's go 25 degrees, and you see I continue to descend. I said 2,200 will be nice when I'm on final. Now I can set my inbound heading here, which is going to be 318, and the missed approach altitude. (318). 3,000. Here's my runway landing checklist. So we have go run altitude set, cabin crew inform, and ECAM memo landing no blue. Landing checklist is complete. Joining final. And it's a short runway, so do not be too high. Be careful to be on the spot. 3 red, that's good. Two and 2, continue. Touchdown. Spoilers. Reverse green. Manual braking. Alright, so now I'm just stopping the aircraft to the end of the runway, because here there is a path where you can turn. So this is why you should simply roll to the end of the runway to be able to do the 180. So let's go to the end of the runway, out of reverse. And here we are going to do the turn. So for the turn here, guys, be careful. Just go to the left, follow the line, and then a slow right turn that will bring you back to the center line for your backtrack. So here I start my turn. I can use only left thrust if required. So a bit of thrust, and we are continuing this turn. If we look from outside, you can see where I'm sitting at. Too much thrust here. And the aircraft is turning perfectly well. This was too much thrust, definitely. So just a little bit of thrust. Make sure the aircraft is 3-4 knots. And you can turn the aircraft on the runway. That works quite nice. Here, my joystick, something went wrong, and I had a lot of thrust on engine number 1, so that's not very good. The aircraft is light, so she wants to travel fast by herself. So as you can see, I'm idle thrust and she's accelerating. That's fine. We just have to let her accelerate and use the brake whenever required, just to slow down. Do not hit the brake constantly or you will warm up your brake too much. So let the aircraft accelerate, and once the speed is reaching 25-30 knots, hit the brake and slow it down to 10-15 knots, and so on and so on. Alright, so we landed and we are going for the stand Yankee 4 in Bern, which is the stand that we can use for the A320. So that's the Yankee 4 that you want. Request follow me, no, and we will see if we can park the aircraft. So very short runway and very tight taxiway, so be very conservative when you fly there. All right, let's retract the flaps and I will ask FSiPanel to do the after landing flow just when we vacate the runway. So we'll be vacating the runway at position Charlie, and then Yankee 4 will be the second to our right, just near to the tower. Okay, here we go. After landing flow. Okay, this is Charlie, and here again you want to come very slow and do like a 90 degrees turn to be in the center of your taxiway here. So if we look from outside, you can see I'm slow and I'm going in the center in between here, otherwise you might go in the grass. This airport is really very tight for this kind of aircraft. And we can see Yankee 4 will be to the right here. So again here, do not anticipate the turn. You don't want to go in the grass. So just go straight and then you start your turn slowly to the right. And if we look from outside, this is what we want to see. And now we have Yankee 4. To the left here, I see the marshaller. So taxi light can go off. And we are turning to the left. Follow the line, and then he will tell us to probably turn right to align ourselves. I haven't tried this park, so let's see what she does. Here we go here. And straight, okay. I don't know if this is going to work. Ah yeah, perfect. Going to the right now. And she says stop. Let's see. Well, I guess I should have been a little bit more to the right. And you will see it's not very easy. So let's try just to move the aircraft where it's supposed to be here. And do not go too much forward or you will not be able to move out of the stand, because there is no pushback here. So you stop at the stop line and that's about it. Parking brake set. And we can shut down the engine. Perfect. Good. So APU has been started, APU bleed, and engine are spooling down. Shut down flow. Here we go. We landed in Bern, so this will be one of the training scenario of FSiPanel very soon. And I hope you enjoyed that circling approach. The idea was to show you how you can use the secondary flight plan and how you can fly this circling approach in Bern. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys, and see you next time for another video. Bye-bye.